So as most of you know, I am the manager at a bookstore. I'm not the manager, I am one of the assistant managers, actually. And one of the functions of my job is to hire people. One of the things that I always find interesting about life is that most people do not know how to apply for a job. In Canada, or at least my part of Canada, we had a class called COM, which stood for Career and Life Management. And you had to take it in grade 11, and it was a bunch of bullshit, most people thought. It was an easy grade. It was basically telling you how to fill out a job application, telling you what you should do and say and how you should act in an interview, things like how much money it costs to move out on your own, that type of thing. So, I mean, like I said, yawn for most people. But sometimes when I'm here in the United States of America, I think that there should be a similar class, because I'm not even talking about young kids. I mean, it's understandable if you're a 16-year-old and you walk into a store for the first time and you're trying to apply for a job, you might not be the most polished applicant. But even 40-year-olds, 50-year-olds who come in to apply to my store have also seemed to not got this lesson somewhere in their life. I don't think I said that sentence properly. You must forgive me, my grammar is off today. Maybe I shouldn't ever apply for a job myself. So I'm gonna give you a couple of hints on how to apply for a job. Number one, always come dressed like you're gonna come for an interview. It doesn't matter if you're just picking up an application, just like, hey, can I talk to the manager? Always dress as if you're coming for an interview. And I'm not talking wearing a power business suit every time you have to come in, but I mean, like, if you're a woman, just make sure you're wearing a nice blouse, nice pair of pants, nice skirt, whatever. Guys, a nice button-down shirt, polo shirt, khakis, whatever. Just look a little bit nice, like you didn't just roll out of bed and go, I think I'm gonna get me a job today, type of dress. One time this girl came in for her interview, not even to ask for an application, but for her interview for our cafe. She was wearing like a crop top and black tights. They were not spandex pants or leggings or whatever you call them nowadays. How I'm old. But they were tights. You could see her thong underneath. That's what she wore to the interview. I don't know if she was a dancer of either regular dancer or of ill repute, but it was like you really showed up for your interview in tights. I actually called the cafe manager and warned her, hey, your applicant is here and she's wearing tights to the interview. Needless to say, that girl did not get hired. But I mean, luckily the place I work for is very open to things like piercings and tattoos. Basically, my company feels like you should dress for your market, and we have a lot of that type of lifestyle dress here. So that's at least cool. But I mean, at least make you look like you made an effort. You didn't just throw on a pair of hot pants and a tank top and coming in for an interview, because that's happened as well. And on to my next point, when you come in to ask for an application, come alone. It might be a little bit frightening if you're young, or even if you're older, but come by yourself. If your mom has to drive you to the mall, make sure she waits over in the food court or something. Don't bring your mom with you and have her ask for the application for you, because that will not get you a job. Don't come with your friends, especially if they're obnoxious and going to be making lots of noise around you while you're asking for an application and being generally disruptive. Don't bring your boyfriend or girlfriend with you. And especially have them ask for an application for you. This happens quite often, actually. Mostly it's women coming in and their boyfriends are like, hey, can I have an application? And I'll be like, okay, and I know it's for her, but I'm just like, okay, what kind of experience do you have? Oh no, it's for her. She just wants to get a job here. She's really good with people and really outgoing, and she really wants to work here. And I'm like, well, if she was really outgoing, she'd be speaking for herself. Yeah, that is a huge no-no. Also, don't interrupt me with a customer, or I'm using a customer because it's a bookstore, but don't interrupt me while I'm talking to a customer or a client to ask for a job application, because that is really, really, really rude, and that is the fastest ticket to having your application forgotten for a very long time. perhaps permanently, most likely permanently. So those are when you're coming in for an application or a job interview, that's what you do. The application itself. When you turn in your application, make sure you don't have a bunch of scribbles, crossouts, spelling errors. Make sure you have 1 or 2 references. I don't even care if it's your mom's friend, whatever. Put something down in people we can call to talk and ask about you. If you put nothing at all, even if you don't have any job experience, put something in the references so we can call and ask about you if we need to. But just make sure it's nice and neat in general, because you can be a fabulous, fabulous person. And actually, we've had a girl working for us for a little while. She's fantastic, and I wasn't the one that hired her. But if I had been, or the person who considered her, I probably would have thrown out her application. I told her that. She's like, yeah, I had a bunch of crossouts and scribbleouts. And I'm like, dude, you were so fantastic. You're lucky I'm not the one that looked at your application, because I would have just put it aside. I know it's basing things on appearance, but that's how the world works. So that's another thing that you don't want to do when you are applying for a job. I'm trying to think of more horror stories. Speaking of guys speaking for their girlfriends or their wives, a couple weeks ago I had this guy come in to the front. I was actually on my lunch, and the head cashier called me and said, you need to come up here right now. And usually when that tone of voice is used, it means there's a problem or a complaint. So I put down my sandwich, and I got up and I girded my loins, and I'm like, okay, I'm gonna go and deal with this complaint. So I go to the front of the store, and she's just like pointing over there to this guy and this woman. And I was like, okay. I was like, hi sir, how can I help you today? And he turns to me, he goes, yeah, I just want a job application. I said, oh, okay then. Well, if you want to follow me to customer service, I'll grab you one. And I walked ahead, and of course, when they couldn't see me, I was like, Jesus, you know. Led them up to customer service, and I was like, oh, so is it for you? Again, I knew, but it has to be asked that way. And he goes, no, it's for her. I was like, okay. And I handed him the application. Oh, no, I was going to hand her the application. This is the best bit. And he put out his hand ahead of her for the application. And I put it in his hand. This one was a weird one for me because it wasn't really funny at all. I'm trying to make it sound like it's a little humorous, but it's not. I actually was torn because I'm like, first of all, I would not want to hire this person if she was attached to this guy, because he'd always be in the store, always be spying on her. I'm surprised he would even allow her to go out and get a job for herself type of dude. But on the second hand, I felt like I really wanted to give this lady a job so she wasn't around this motherfucker all the time. Holy shit. It's like, I felt so bad. But anyway, so I have situations like that where I have like this conflict in my head going, which way do I go on this one? But yikes. Anyway, so that is my tutorial on how to properly get a job. Because y'all need it. Seriously, 9 times out of 10, somebody will come up to my customer service desk and ask me for an application. And I have questions ready for them. Not hard questions. Okay, what kind of experience do you have? Deer in the headlights. Be ready to answer that one, guys, if you go in to ask for a job. Second of all, kind of know something about the company you're applying to. Or even just like if you're a customer at the store that you're applying to, they might ask you, now, why do you want to work for my store? And just make something up if you don't really want to work there. Like, my store, man, I really love books. I'm in here all the time. I'm just a voracious reader. If you say that to me, I will be very impressed. Even if you don't read shit, I will be very impressed. So be ready for a little bit of questioning when you go in. It's just very amazing to me that a lot of people don't have these basic skills. Anyway, so that's my video blog for the day. I hope y'all have a great weekend, and catch you later.